I mean, as a neutral, I didn't pick out those things, but
No, me neither.
as a fan of a side, I can empathise with where Mike's coming from, because I kind of said similar things before, didn't I? But I don't think the referee fell for anything in this one in particular, personally. And the penalty count was 10 conceded by Warrington, 6 conceded by Castleford, so it did go against the home side. But John Ormisher at Jonty43 said, with all the BS around the game, when all the BS around the game is put aside, tonight is why I love this game. Well done, Cass and Warrington. That's what the game's about. Good, honest endeavour. Pubs be buzzing in Cass tonight. The Wire will think they didn't do too bad either.
And Brian Davis says, probably the most enjoyable Sky game of the season. Open flowing rugby, not stopped every 5 minutes by a player pretending they were injured. Even video ref was used more sensibly. Good to see QLT get his shot at Super League and score on his debut. Does show that if sides come well prepared, no result except Saints is a given.
Lee Whitnell said, if we nicked that game at the end, we wouldn't have deserved it. Cass were lively, we looked off the pace, a well-deserved victory for last year's champions.
Right, so I've got Rob's to read out here, and I just want to pick something up with Rob. He seems to think I've got an issue with Cass. I haven't. I love Cass. They're my closest actual team now, and I have no issue with Cass. I have an issue with them being called champions when they're not champions.
Rob has an issue with the truth. That's the problem here, Alan.
But this is the thing. I have to say, we'll go on to talk about the game in a minute and Rob's review in a minute. But QLT's bits, kind of in the second half, I was absolutely cheering those. They were fantastic play. But anyway, Fat by Rob says, my confidence dropped when I saw the team, but never doubt the Messiah. Cass try. He's given a bit of a rundown of the game here, by the way. Cass try, lucky Cass try, Wire try from a forward pass, Wire try from a double movement, never was, Wire move off the mark and score, Wire try off a non-existent pen, Cass score a superb try, 20 all at half time. So we get in a sense here of his kind of perspective, his unique fan's perspective. So Milner Simbin for a hard tackle, late and unnecessary. Wire knock on, get a pen, score. Cass score a wonder try. Super Ollie Holmes. Wire score their first legit try. Milner 30-34. What a win! Cheers, Rob.
Phil Nadin said both teams gave it their all with some great tries and some great gameplay. Cass took control straight away with 2 quick tries within the first 15 minutes. Then Warrington came back to put Cass back in their place with 20 points again in 15 minutes. Second half was again all Cass. Warrington wasn't done though and fought back, but Cass had it under control. Warrington's goal kicking let them down. Great game for the neutral. It's a good place to start goal kicking because wasn't a decisive factor. Harvey Levett only got 2 out of his 5 attempts, whereas Bryson Goodwin got 1 from 1 as well, but young Callum Turner was 6 out of 6, and Adam Milner popped up with a goal at the end to the joy of all Cass fans to wind down some clock there. But I don't know, everyone's talking about how great Cass were. I think Cass were really good in parts in the game. They certainly started the game very, very well, and they had a real purple spell in the middle of the second half that kind of sealed the game for them with 2 fantastic tries, with 2 fantastic pieces of work from QLT as well. Firstly on his own try, and then in the build up to the Oliver Holmes try, which for me was the try of the game. And Oliver Holmes probably just edged man of the match for me over QLT. Adam Milner was fantastic if it wasn't for his late tackle on Tyrone Roberts, which was a shoulder charge and a late tackle, so totally deserving of a sin bin in.
Totally deserved. I mean, QLT got that. That's a perfect example of timing, isn't it? So he does those 2 things. They then choose who the man of the match candidates are, and it's like, last kind of 5 minute memory.
Recency bias.
Yeah. There you go. Pick him. So if you're going to do something, do it in the 65th to the 75th minute, basically.
Yeah, because Beacon put in a great bit of skill, and no one was talking about that come the end.
No, it's dim and distant history, isn't it? But QLT, he had for his first game, fantastic kind of achievement, really.
Definitely. Callum Turner as well played mostly very well throughout. He got a bit quieter after he dropped that ball, took that knock, and then wasn't really involved in the game too much after that. He felt the last 20 minutes or so he wasn't quite in it as much, but cracking cracking promise showed by him. Certainly in that first 20 minutes or so, he was arguably the best player on the pitch. There were a couple of question marks over the Darrell Clarke try in particular from Warrington. I've not got any concerns over the others really, but I would say Darrell Clarke was fantastic. Him and Milner going head to head, the two players that came through together, battling for that number 9 shirt and rotating the number 9 shirt through the years as well on the squad numbers at Cass as they came through. I thought those two were put on a fantastic show from dummy half, and I'm glad to see Adam Milner back in dummy half because I think it's his best position. I know people like seeing him at loose forward because of the effort and the line speed and all that, but he misses far too many tackles, and I don't think he contributes anywhere near as much in attack. The odd extra effort run that you don't necessarily see from other players sometimes because just how much he cares and how much he fights, but I like him out of dummy half more, and I think this game was his best game that I've seen from Adam Milner for a couple of years, to be honest. Even though he was loved by Cass fans last year, I thought they overrated him, and this year I think that game on Friday night he was brilliant, but he wouldn't be in man of the match conversation for me because of his yellow card, so that's why I'd go Ollie Holmes, who came off the bench and was fantastic.
Yeah, no, it was a great game. It was, as you said, as lots of people have said, for the neutral. I really enjoyed watching this game. Very open, very entertaining. God, you need a goal kicker. You know.
I know everyone's like raving about Cass because they beat an informed Warrington who just absolutely battered Wigan. There was a bit of talk about Warrington looking a little bit fatigued in the game, maybe emotionally as much as physically, with having had that game, that big important game, and that big comeback from what happened a couple of weeks earlier, and redemption for them, and all of that, and that maybe played a part in it. But Cass had their own adversity to overcome with the players out and players having to be called up on the day of the game because of a couple of injuries happening during the sort of the evening and through the night. So there was a lot of interesting things coming into it from a narrative perspective from all of that. But Cass were good, but they weren't like miles better than Warrington, I didn't feel. And
no, because the scored less tries.
Shouldn't be too disheartened with this outcome.
No, scoring, Warrington scored more tries. They just couldn't kick the goals for whatever reason. So, it's a great win for Cass, but at the end of the day, if he'd had his kicking boots with him, then they'd have been on the losing side. So that's just the way it is. But yeah, it's. But it was a very entertaining game, and exactly the kind of thing you want on your Friday night, isn't it? Yeah,
because Josh Charnley scored a couple of tries, and there's I can't remember which one. Maybe it was his first try where I think it was his second try where he just absolutely levelled his opposition winger with his sort of forward fend, kind of with the ball carrying arm, and he delivers that so well, perfectly timed, that he just uses all the upper body power he's got perfectly delivered to get over the top of his opposite winger and score a try. And you don't see a lot of wingers doing that, and I think for a right winger that's really important because you less often get good ball in good speed and good space than the left winger, where most people are right to left passes. So more accurate with the passes that way, a bit more speed and accuracy on them. But Charnley's absolutely delivering, and he might be one of the players actually who could feel a little bit hard done to not being in the England squad, but you can't argue with the wing choices that were made ahead of him. But certainly for a series at the end of the year with a bigger squad, he'd be exactly. For me, he'd be my fourth winger for England right now. Yeah,
if it had been maybe a month later, he might have been a selection, but I'd say obviously he didn't feature in the initial squads, and maybe he felt he was better sticking to those kind of keeping faith with those players. But yeah, for me, he's definitely in the autumn squad.
In-game injuries we talk about a lot being a big factor. Kevin Brown's in-game injury, do you think that really damaged Warrington's chances of doing something in the second half? I mean, Patton they've just re-signed and hasn't been playing badly recently when he's come onto the field, but he didn't feel like he created much, and Roberts was almost absent in the second half apart from a couple of towering kicks.
Yeah, there's a lot that although they scored more tries, Warrington, they made more mistakes, didn't they? They didn't complete, very well in terms of set completion. Made a lot of errors. that they kind of. There were lots of things that went wrong for them as well. But yeah, it's disruptive when you lose when you're kind of first choice halfback, isn't it? But yeah, you've got to expect that. It's going to happen in the game, and that's why you carry these players on the bench for that flexibility. So there you go.
Okay, let's do the stats on this one. Wyre ended up with one more try than their visitors and victors from Castleford. Cass made nearly 100 more metres though, an extra clean break, 5 fewer errors and conceded 4 fewer penalties, so discipline with and without the ball on the Tigers' side. Goal kicking was also a factor, 7 from 7 compared to Warrington's 3 from 6. Individually, Grant Millington, we haven't mentioned him, I'm a bit remiss too, he was in the man of the match vote, 132 metres for him. Big minutes, big effort. They didn't play. They left Will Mayer unused on the bench, didn't they? So that was interesting. Jesse Stanley-Afeo, another forward who had a big impact. 1 try assist, 112 metres, 3 successful offloads. Adam Milner, 108 metres. Greg Minikin, 110 metres. For the losing Warrington side, still sent plenty of good performers. Josh Charnley, 2 tries and 120 metres. Darryl Clark, 1 try assist, 49 tackles. He was in the man of the match vote and well deserved. Went well both ways. Steph Ratchford with a try assist, 5 tackles and 138 metres. If Warrington had won, he'd have certainly been a strong candidate for man of the match. And Bryson Goodwin, 106 metres. So good performances all round in a cracking encounter. Saturday now, and it was Catalan Dragons 32, Widnes Vikings 12. It was close at half time, 12-10 to the Catalan Dragons, but unlike the first game of the season where Widnes were able to turn it around from that position, Catalans went on to have a strong second half to win this one. 9,239, which is a better attendance than Catalan have been seeing recently, so
they're picking up, aren't
they? The uptick in weather and form has helped there. Chris Kendall was the referee, and I'm not sure if was the French Cup final maybe played on the same day, or it was certainly played in Perpignan, but I don't know. But anyway, we'll get onto that game later on. Do you want to start us off with the first fan view, which comes from the Widnes perspective?
Yeah, so it's from Paul O'Brien. Says, good first half from the Vikings, but normal service resumed in the second half. We may have sacked Betts, but it's just papering over the cracks. No matter who is in charge, the story will be the same. Need some big changes at the club.
Alan Walker says, one word, leg of lamb. Well, it's one word in French. How many get an assist for a goal line dropout? For all the shit players and the shit coach recruits, the real stars speak French. Gigot, Casti, Garcia, Yaha, Julian, Maria and Broughton. Still worse off than when Frezzy was chucked in the mincer.
So Brian Davies says, good start from Catalan, but individual errors allow Widnes to take an early lead. Catalan finally got into gear and ran out deserved winners. Widnes looked real candidates for the drop. Tony Gigot and the short drop out. What a star. Great player to watch.
When he isn't diving, certainly. He's another player, isn't he? Like Connor, he sort of you feel antagonised by him, but then you can't help but watch what he does with the ball. It's fantastic to watch with his skills and his and that sort of stuff, and certainly that short dropout was amazing. Neil McEwen, to finish off with another Widnes perspective, said, well, not surprised to lose when we go into match with 2 props, but that second half was fucking awful. No passion, no attacking, shite tackling. If we don't get the likes of Inu, Houston and Dudson back soon, we're heading to the Championship. Sleepwalking to relegation as the board don't seem bothered.
Damn. That's very pessimistic.
Dark stuff. I think they had 3 props, didn't they? Because young Owen Farnsworth is a prop as well, but McGrath Luluai kind of falls between prop and back row. The Chapel Owls got off to a decent start, I thought, for the Widnes side. So you've got to credit them there with that, but in the end, I think all the best players on the pitch ended up being on the Catalan side. I sort of watched this late on Saturday when I'd got in from the family barbecue we'd had for Emma's birthday, and I was struggling to keep my eyes open watching the second half because there wasn't much of excitement other than whatever Tony Gigo was popping up doing. I think Josh Drinkwater was instrumental with his kicking game. He put a lot of pressure on Widnes. It felt like he forced 2 or 3 goal line dropouts and kind of controlled the tempo of that game. Meant Widnes were never really going to get the territory and that sort of stuff to come back into it. It kind of felt like to me, certainly with the players that Widnes had, they weren't good enough to get back into it, and that was all linked into what was going on there with drink